David Jordan Jr. here, editor-in-chief of eShape magazine here in Times Square here in New York City. Today we are at the Glass House Tavern for the Dr. Richard Barnett Foundation Luncheon. Come on, let's go inside.
You'll be noted later on, but it's up at the screen at times. I want to thank Chris Riley and Glass House Tavern for hosting, and I want to thank all of you for coming. What do the four gentlemen that we have here today have in common? They each were on two championship teams. LT, anybody, if you say LT, everybody knows who LT is. It's like saying share. LT won 2 Super Bowls with the Giants, and then we have Senator Bradley, Clyde, and Dick Barnett won 2 championships, NBA championships with the Knicks.
I made those guys.
LT, it's arguably a discussion as to who's the greatest defensive player ever in the NFL. I think he's sitting right in front of me.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Clyde, it wasn't good enough for Clyde to be in 1 Hall of Fame. Clyde is actually in 2 Hall of Fames. He recently, a year ago, was inducted into the Broadcasting Hall of Fame. So that's 2 Hall of Fames, and no one in the history of the NBA has ever been in 2 Hall of Fames. I don't know what you say how Moore won because he invented the internet. Senator Bradley's had an incredible career, and I think Senator, February 1st on HBO is going to be, what would you call it? The one-man show. Write that date down, February 1st. HBO, one-man show.
Starring Walt Frazier.
Well, a long time ago, I asked Clyde what can you say about Barnett? The one thing I'll say about him is that not too many people can say this. He's written 20 books. More than 20 books. Dick, I'm not embarrassed to say I haven't read 20 books. some special guests. Bill Daughtry, who's going to be questioning him. Bill retired, but he came out of retirement for death. 45 years covering pro and college sports on radio and TV. He did ESPN, MSG, The Fan, WCBS. That's just to name a few. Bill Daughtry's the man.
To the New York Knicks, I want to thank Jim Dolan, Rich Constable, Brett Tessler, John Ochoa, and the Social Impact team. They've supported us from day one. NBA Cares, thank Commissioner Adam Silver and John Horaeus. Metropolitan Realty Group, Scott Jaffe, a great friend and fellow board member, and his entire team. AAG Management, big thank you to Arnold Gumowitz, his family, and the entire team over there. Atlantic Development Group, Peter Fine and his team. Meridian Capital Group, Ralph Erska and his team. The Charles Koch Foundation, while one or two of the guests weren't able to make it today, we want to call out John Franklin, Brendan Brown, and the folks over there as we start building our partnership with the Charles Koch Foundation. Shea Magazine, David Jordan Jr., been a special friend of the foundation from day one. Thank you for always being there. And Steve Robinson as well. Everywhere we need you, my friend, you're always around with a hand. Couldn't be more grateful. Shot Guru. Also program partners, A-List Education, Kate Manier, Willis, I saw you in the back there as well. Alex, thank you so much. And to our team at Robin, Eric Orenstein, Sunny Thadani, thank you for everything that you are. I didn't grow up seeing Dr. Barnett lead Tennessee State, back when it was Tennessee A&I, to 3 consecutive national college championships in the 50s, the first in the nation to do so. All the more impressive because he led an HBCU to glory against all white teams and brutal racism in the midst of our nation's civil rights struggle. I didn't watch him lead sit-ins in Nashville after those victories, trying to integrate lunch counters. Nor did I see him join Clyde, Senator Bradley, and the Knicks of the early 70s to win in epic style. But what I did see, what I was privileged to witness, was a man who saw life beyond basketball. A man who went back to college after his playing days to earn his degree, then a master's, and then a PhD. I grew up watching my second dad, Dr. Barnett, leaning into creating education and opportunity for others. A man who saw life on the court as a chapter in a larger story, not as the destination or the sum of an entire life. I grew up watching Clyde spend 30 years as the voice of the New York Knicks, a second career that's 3 times longer than the time that he spent on the Garden's hardwood. I grew up knowing Bill Bradley as a senator. Actually, I have a picture of the Senate floor. I don't quite remember it, but my dad remembers it really well and carries it around so that Senator Bradley can also remember it. But I got to know him as a presidential candidate and a leader in business. I learned from these legends that sports may be a part of who we are. They may be a huge part of our lives. But truly great humans, folks who influence and inspire, who lead by example, they transcend being defined solely by a jersey hanging from the rafters at Madison Square Garden. And that lesson forms the core of the Dr. Richard Barnett.
Is iconic. Well, today we're going to use that word, but we're going to apply it to 4 gentlemen who have left an indelible mark on the New York sports scene. Put them on the right team. There you go. There you go. George Steinbrenner?
George Steinbrenner. George and I, we had a very good relationship. One of the things I'd like to talk about very briefly is you think it's cold outside today. When I was in Gary, Indiana, and when I would get up very early and in Chicago with the Chicago Hawks, it's a little bit colder than it is today. But one of the things that when I talk about Gary and Anna, I think about education and dream.
You and Lawrence, both drafted first round from the South, come to New York, just barely 21, 22 years old. When you look back at what you were when you got here and the mark that you left once you came here, talk about that, Lawrence.
Wow, I'm 21. I mean, I was doing everything I could be doing, but I tell you, I enjoy being here and going through the experience. It doesn't make a difference if I'm in New York, if I'm in Florida, if I'm in North Carolina. Football is football, okay? And we hit and we do what we do. You know, that's
Military service, and you went to Oxford, became a Rhodes Scholar there. But still, when you came here same season as Walt, Clyde, Frazier did. How different was the situation for you? Did New York intimidate you at all?
Sure. I mean, Madison Square Garden. I played the Holiday Festival year before. 18,000 people, 18,500, whatever. Cheering. I come to the Knicks. I'm a guard. I'm too slow. I'm failing. First game I played with the Knicks, I was a Green White Hope, right? Except I wasn't. And every time I touched the ball in warm-ups, 18,000 people roared, right? A month later, those 18,000 people were booing, were throwing coins at me, were accosting me in the street with badly overpaid bums. And therefore, did it have an impact on me? Yeah, coming to New York had a big impact on me. It was the first time in my life that I was in utter failure. And I had to deal with that.
And I just hate when I gotta play. What was that for you, Clyde?
No one. Well, now that I think of it,
There was one, come on.
the Big O was, I wish the time that he was never around. Jerry West. So Jerry West was Earl the Pearl. Earl the Pearl, the only man I ever dreamt about. He gave me nightmares because, you know, when Oscar scored on you, West, they weren't styling and profiling. So when Earl scored, he's got all this flamboyant stuff he's doing, man. So I just hated that. I was like, I gotta stop this guy. And so those three guys were probably guys that I lost a lot of sleep over. That's why we relish playing in New York, though, that challenge. Because, like Frank Sinatra said, you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. And, you know, I wear these rings every day with a lot of pride. And sometimes I get in a taxi, they go, Clyde, you can't pay. You know, I go to a restaurant and go, Clyde, you know, somebody want to buy you a meal. And that's the beauty of being in New York, that you guys are unequivocally the best fans, the most passionate fans, the most loyal fans, and you definitely catapulted us to these two rings at Madison Square Garden.
And when you saw him come through the doors into the arena, it was like, why I gotta play against him?
Well, one of the things is that when I was playing with Clyde and even before that happened, when I was playing with Syracuse, my mantra was picking up people all over the court. We wanted to go from baseline to baseline.
John Havlicek, the toughest guy that I played against in the guard, because he constantly moved and the Celtics looked for him. And if I had my hand here and he had his hand there, the ball hit his hand. He had Havlicek and he had the basket. So he's by far the toughest. The one that I had the most fun with was a guy named Jack Marin, who was the forward for the Bullets. Of course, we have
This foundation is 100% about giving back 100% about making it easier, even though sometimes we helping the wrong people. But listen, but you can never go that much wrong with kids.
I go way back with Dick Barnett. Growing up in the South, Dick Barnett was a legend at Tennessee State. So my uncle was 5 or 6 years older than me. He was a fan of Barnett's. So I knew about him. I wanted to go to Tennessee State because of Dick Barnett. I know in college, Dick Barnett never went to class. So the metamorphosis that he has been magnificent, and showing that if you put your mind to something, you can do it. It was funny when we played, Walt Bellamy was on the team. So I was quiet and shy. I never said anything. But Bellamy said, we got one guy that can't talk, the other guy won't talk. So we were talking about me and Barnett, and now Barnett with all the books. Don't give him a microphone. So it's been amazing to see his transgressions, the education aspect of what he's doing now, and giving back to the kids. So like I say, he had a tremendous impact on me early on, and he continues. I really admire him and respect him.
Was the intellect off the court? What were some of the conversations that you all would have in the locker room that probably could display what we see now in 2023? In the early 70s, you all were playing ball, but you were so cerebral on the court, and the future of everybody on the team that's been off the court, you, yourself, Dr. Barnett, Phil Jackson.
We didn't have any conversations in the locker room except about the game. We had intelligence on the court. We were unselfish. We used our imagination, and we had discipline. Those are the qualities that allowed us to be who we were. Our academic or intellectual interest afterwards, I mean, we had a Phi Beta Kappa in Jerry Lucas, and Dick got his PhD, and I went on too. And so, yeah, we had some basic, excuse me, that's that food is good. We had some basic intelligence about whatever, but on the court, those were the qualities.
And being here today for today's luncheon for Dr. Barnett's Foundation, how important was it for you to be here and be a part of continuing the legacy of that foundation?
Well, I think that Dick Barnett's commitment to education is highly admirable. Not only his own education, but trying to give kids a chance to maximize their own chances by getting a good education. That's what this foundation does, and he has a lot to be proud of in his life as a player, as a student, right? But I think he's got a lot to be proud of with this foundation because he's managed not only to meet a need. I mean, you know, 100 kids is 100 kids, right? It's not nothing, but it's not 10 million. But he is meeting a need, and he's been also able to assemble a really high-quality board of people from the business and financial world.
Mr. Lawrence Taylor, how you doing today, Mr. Taylor? Really appreciate you being here today. I want to talk to you about the importance of education and charity. You came up here from Florida to support this as one New York sports legend to another New York sports legend, Dr. Barnett. Can you speak about the importance of being here to support and the importance of supporting education through both of your foundations?
You know what, I look at it and this is what I do. You know, I played a lot of football here in New York area, and I really enjoyed it. But I tell you what, giving back to the kids, giving back to you know, the fans and stuff. That's what it's all about. I have a couple of organizations right now. I have the For Life organization as a charity, and the LT Taylor Foundation, a charity. So, and each of them we work hard. We cater to our kids, underprivileged kids, and I tell you what, I go out, and every time we have an event, whether it's golf, whether it's football camps or whatever, I enjoy watching these kids and watching them grow up. I'm tell you what, hey, it always I seem to say that the future is bright now, with some of these kids.
And another one of the things that I think is so important that I see in New York with sports teams is that whether it's football, baseball, basketball, you all support each other entirely on the field, on the court, and off the court or off the field with each other. It's a culture, it seems, with that's not only about the city, but it's also everybody's enthralled in the city.
Yeah, but you know what? I tell you what. I do a lot of charity work, and years ago when I was growing up, I was doing no charity work, and charity started at home, But as we grow, and as I have became, a New Yorker, I guess you might want to say it, or New Jerseyer or something. But I enjoy doing it. I mean, I just love to see the smile on the face of a kid. I like to just knowing that I'm a part of what can happen good in his life. I'm cool with that. I mean, I'm tell you what, I'm really down with that. And I'm surrounded by a lot of great players, a lot of great people. Paula Tucker. She runs my foundation in Florida, and my daughter runs the foundation in Atlanta. And it's surprising how much they do and how much they care, and we put it all together. We put it
At the
all.
Dr. Richard Barnett Foundation luncheon today, I'm here with not only his teammate, but a New York legend, Southern Illinois Saluki,
Greatest nigga of all time.
greatest Nick of all time, and the greatest dressing NBA player of all time, Clyde, Mr. Walt Frazier. Mr. Walt Frazier, a pleasure meeting you. You're here supporting your teammate, and one of the things that has been very important, you have your foundation, and he has his foundation, but you all were Knicks, and you've been in the community since you came here, and 1967, and you've made an impact not only on the court and the garden as we know, but in the community with the youth and through foundation and education. What is the most important thing that you've gained from being here all of these years in reaching the youth and connecting with the community in the ways which you have?
That's a good question. I've been so blessed. Dr. Barnett was my idol. He was a sharp dresser. I copied his style. His locker was adjacent to mine. So maybe he's 8 years older than me. So when I'm 22, he's 29 or 30. And the man didn't smoke. He didn't drink. I saw how dedicated he was to his body and his professionalism. So that really rubbed off on me. He gave me a lot of confidence. I also had Willis Reed, his tenacity on the court, the way he dealt with the fans. Bill Bradley, his sagacity, his Rhodes Scholar, Dave DeBusschere. All of these guys were my idols because they were older than me. So now that I'm in that position, I know I'm a very positive role model for the youth as well. So I talk to them about education, being a good person, don't use drugs. You can be whatever you want to be if you apply yourself. So we never embarrass our fans, with drugs, alcohol, and folly. And, I was just blessed to be in the right place at the right time.
Definitely. And another thing that I think is so amazing with Madison Square Garden still being pretty much, well, it is the only arena that's still around from when you all played and housing all of the history that it houses, and you all are still there on the sidelines supporting the current Knicks team. Talk about the reception that you all receive when you all are in attendance, and as we know, you broadcast, so you're there all the time, but the reception that you all received from fans that have never even seen, that weren't alive when you all were playing.
Yeah, it's remarkable. It's a New York thing. You know, the Lakers don't have it. They won 17 titles. Nobody's talking about any of those teams. You know, the Celtics have won more, 17 titles. No one but the New York Knicks, the 70s. Everybody's still talking about Frazier, Bradley, the Bushy Reed. So we cast a giant shadow over any Knick team. When they're good, they talk about us. When they're bad, they talk about us. So they can't get rid of us. But it was the personalities on that team that the fans gravitated to us. You know, they really admired us, the way we played the game so unselfishly, hitting the open man, black and white guys coming together, being colorblind. You know, Frazier and the Bush and Reed were the most popular players, but they had Bradley and the Bushy, but everybody liked Frazier and Reed, man. So they never saw color. They just had so much respect for that team, for the way we played the game. And I have to give kudos to our former coach, Red Holtzman, who demanded that we play defense. Team ball, you didn't do that, you weren't getting in the
Steve Baumley here, director of the Dr. Richard Barnett Foundation. Today's Monday, November 13th. We just wrapped up our luncheon fundraiser. Very successful day. Lawrence Taylor, Clyde Frazier, Dr. Barnett, Senator Bradley, raising money to help kids live their dreams. And, that's what brings us all together. And, we're inspiring people to support any way they can. And, helping kids, reach their dreams through education, mental wellness programming, career exploration days. And, a wonderful day, beautiful day. And here's Scott.
Scott Farber, board member for the Dr. Richard Barnett Foundation. Dick was like a second dad growing up. So to be able to be here in New York City with legends like Clyde and Senator Bradley and LT and Barnett, just New York legends, it's just a dream come true. And the fact that we can do this in a way that helps drive amazing young people forward to reach their dreams, what more can you ask for? I think as a New Yorker, it's fantastic to be able to come together and celebrate champions. It's another thing to be able to come together and celebrate the champions of tomorrow, too.